All right, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to our audience. This is a new video of 3 questions to policymakers. This time we are talking about the farm to fork strategy. So the European Commission started the farm to fork strategy, which is supposed to revolutionize agriculture in Europe to make it more sustainable. Now, critics say that this is not actually the case and that the strategy, the way it's proposed, actually does the opposite. So today we are talking to Mazaly Aguilar, who's the Vice Chair of the Agriculture Committee in the European Parliament, and to see what her thoughts are on the issue. First of all, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to stay here with you and and with the people who wanted to see me and my answers to your questions.
Thank you so much for taking the time. So the first question that we are interested in is, the farm to fork strategy wants to reduce pesticide use by 50%. What does that mean for farmers and consumers?
Well, it's still unclear how the strategic plans will reflect the new strategy, how to reduce pesticides if no alternative available, how to force farmers to become organic regardless the law of supply and demand, how to keep a level playing field with third countries. The sector is highly concerned. Farmers see a very unbalanced strategy that puts the focus only on environment, neglecting the economic and social aspects of farming. Farmers in Spain, my country, were struggling ahead of the pandemic. They were demonstrating all around the country for several reasons, such as low prices and the lack of crop protection products to fight new pests and diseases. The situation has worsened, and farm to fork is just a highly partial response to their needs. It seems that food security is not anymore a top priority for the European Union.
Thank you. Now, the people in the European Commission seem to think that if we went more and more organic in our agriculture, then this would be a good solution. But in your opinion, is organic agriculture the solution?
Well, in my opinion, the organic model cannot be imposed to farmers or consumers. They need to have a choice, consumers' choice. There are different models to achieve sustainability, and when promoting organic, we are just telling half of the truth. We need more water, soil, energy, and inputs to produce. The size of a farm, of its production model, says nothing a priori for or against its contribution to the environment of animal welfare. Even today, we can find small and large organic producers who are doing things badly, but also find the opposite. We must make a calm analysis without prejudice and with scientific indicators for what each one contributes. Once again, communication and the fight against misinformation must be a cornerstone of the new food strategy that reinforces a balanced diet and consumer choice.
Thank you. That's a very good outline of this issue. Now, the last question I wanted to ask you, and this is of course a more political question than a scientific and agriculture question, is how would you describe the political motivations behind these drastic reforms to our agricultural sector? So who are the people who want to reform all of this?
Well, I regret that unfortunately we are not yet in a post-COVID world. On the contrary, we are still struggling about how to face COVID-19 in Europe and elsewhere. That's the reason why I really think that for the time being, all our efforts on agriculture should focus on how to secure food supply, on how to help farmers dealing with a deep crisis and the risk of economic failure and rural exodus. COVID should help us to better understand what really matters. Our pre-COVID strategies and ideas need to be strongly revised in the light of the effects of this pandemic. If we come to the conclusion that farming is an essential sector, we must find a better balance between food security and the European Union unlimited green ambition. We all know what farmers are doing to provide safe and affordable food to consumers in the context of COVID-19. Anyway, we pay them with farm to fork and biodiversity strategy, where farmers seem to be part of the problem and not part of the solution. Environmental and related NGOs want to continue with business as usual, but the roadmap broadly shared by the Commission make mistakes that could take a toll on the preservation of the environment and natural resources. If farmers don't manage to make a profit for their strategic activity, unfortunately, they will abandon it. And this situation will lead to desertification, further fires, and the inevitable rural exodus. That's a pity, that is the real story.
Well, thank you so much, Mazaly Aguilar, for sharing your criticisms of the farm to fork strategy. Over the next weeks, months, and even years, we will discuss more about the farm to fork strategy. But first off, thank you so much for the time that you took for us today. And thank you for our audience for tuning in. I would also note for those who are listening to us that you can reach Mazaly Aguilar via email, of course. If you just Google her name, you can contact her, especially if you're a constituent of her. And if you are more interested in our positions at the Consumer Choice Center on Farm to Fork, we recently published a new policy paper about sustainability in agriculture. So you can find this on our publications page on consumerchoicecenter.org. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you again for your time, and have a nice day. Thank you.